you have to know your target audience, right? You have to know your target audience. You have to know who your market is. You have to know how to appeal to your market and all of that. So what does that mean in business and in marketing? Know your market.
Well, it goes back to what you said initially, that there are, the freedom and the consternation of firing a client or not taking them on to begin with. Well, they have all this money, this would be hugely profitable, but it's just like you have to choose employees carefully. If you don't have the same vision or the same direction and you don't have that commonality, then you're just initiating disaster.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, good. What else?
Do the research.
Do the research. Okay. Yeah, unfortunately, for most businesses spend their day-to-day doing all the menial things, right? It's all the junk that doesn't really matter. Okay? In business, what's the first priority?
Make money.
Make money. Okay, but how do you make money?
Have a plan.
Okay? Have a plan. But the plan is the course of action that you would utilize to be able to make money. But how do you make money?
Have a product or a service in a market.
Okay, so you have to have product or service plus market. That's step one. Okay, but wouldn't you agree that virtually every business that exists today has a product or service? Wouldn't you then agree that every business today has a market, whether they recognize it or not?
Yes.
Okay. So then if that's the case, that's a fundamental foundation to actually opening a business, right? So then what is the primary step? What do you need? If I can have the greatest widget in the world and I can have the best market in the world, does that mean I will make money? No. So I have to have a process for getting it to the market. It's called sales. If you don't have sales, will you have a business?
Not for long.
Not for long. As long as your savings account will hold up. Right? A few years ago, it's kind of a sad story, but a few years ago we were in a previous location, and about 4 down from us there was a restaurant. It was an Italian restaurant, right? And was brand new, just getting started. I went in there one day. The food was good. It was really good. It was a prime location on Highway 31. Lots of traffic, 40, 50,000 cars a day driving by. This, that, and the other, right? And so went in. The food was good. They had been open about a month. The food was really good, but there was nobody there. It was lunchtime. There was nobody there. I was the only person there. And so I looked at the owner. I said, "Hey, your food's really good. Why is nobody here?" "I don't know." He said, "I had always heard with a restaurant, if you get really good food, people will come." Yeah? In theory, that should be accurate. But if you have really good food and people don't come to tell other people, then there's nobody out there talking about the good food. So how are people going to come? He said, "That's the problem that we have right now." I actually made an offer. I told him, I said, "I'll tell you what. Here's what I will do. I will work with you. I will help you. I will help you grow your market, your processes. I will help you do all that. And the only thing that I ask in return, because I know when you're starting a restaurant, you don't have much in the way of funds. The only thing that I will ask in return is if I myself or me and my family come in here, you will feed us and not charge us. Right? Fair trade?
Very fair.
Yeah. There's no way I could eat in a month what it would cost him to go through the stuff. You know what I'm saying? And he said no. He said, I think we've got it. He said, I think we're right there on the cusp. We're right there on the turning point. Right? 4 months. The business was closed. 4 months. It was closed. 5 months. He committed suicide. He committed suicide. He had spent his entire life savings, everything, getting it open, burnt through everything, had nothing left. Right? Sad. Sad yet avoidable situation. Right? Sad yet avoidable. I feel like sometimes, maybe if I had been a little more pushy, right? I'm not typically a pushy person when it comes to that kind of stuff, but maybe if I'd been a little more pushy, but I don't take that on me. That's not my fault. You know what I'm saying? But the key is you have to have more than just a product or service and a market, right? You have to have strategy. So what we're talking about right now is social strategy, right? Social strategy. And I want to talk about listening, because that's something that the vast majority of businesses never do. They don't listen. Twyla, when's the last time you actually listened to the people you were talking to?
Well, since you and Mark corrected me, I've done a lot better, and my mother even commented me on that. So I noticed Mark interrupted Pat a while ago.
I wouldn't go out like that.
So thank y'all for that. I think I'm doing a whole lot better.
Somebody else call you out. So I say that kind of in jest, but it's reality, right? The reality of it is most people in conversation listen partway, but they don't listen fully, right? In today's day and age, it's even more difficult because people want to sit there and play with this thing right here and type on it and do all that kind of mess in midst of conversation, right? People get more distracted now than they have ever gotten before, right? And so in business, we tend to be guilty of the same thing. We get distracted. We allow all kinds of distractions. Now, besides that distraction, the other thing that we have to deal with is on the flip side of this, the flip side of the same coin, that whole attention span deal is what you get somebody that starts saying something and somebody else that interrupts them mid-sentence, right? Well, my thought process trumps your thought process, so therefore I need to speak and you don't get to, right? Even though that's not what you're thinking, it's what happens, right? And so it's rude. But how does that translate to business?
In terms of social strategy, you're talking about pattern interrupts, the pop-up ads, whatever gets your attention.
I'm talking about listening. How does that affect? How does that apply to business?
If you don't hear what your customers want, you don't know how to address it.
Sales 101. Let a person talk long enough and they will tell you how to sell them. Right? Sales 101.
Sometimes it's give to talk long enough.
Sometimes the challenge can be getting them to talk. Absolutely. Absolutely. And so if that's the case, you can understand the most basic precept of business and of sales is if someone is within your market and you listen to what they have to say, then it becomes much easier to sell them your product or service. If you don't listen to what they have to say, ultimately all you're doing is throwing frogs at a wall, right? Hoping they'll stick. So, marketing. Marketing is all about putting your message in front of your audience where they are. Okay? Marketing. Putting your message in front of your audience where they spend time. That's the most basic concept of marketing there is, right? Yet, that's something that many businesses miss out on. It's been one of my arguments lately with things like traditional advertising methodologies. Traditional advertising methodologies like radio, television, those kind of things. You know.
Got 2 new yellow pages yesterday.
Got 2 new yellow pages yesterday? Sweet. Think about it. Right? Television advertising. What do you actually have control over?
You as a marketer?
Uh-huh. As a business.
You have control over how many times your advertisement runs based on your budget.
Okay.
You can specify which time slots,
And?
which channels.
Okay. So you have control over a channel, a time slot, and a quantity. Does that give you any control, for real, over the market and the number of people that actually see it? No. Okay. It's very difficult to target. Now, I can look at certain things and say, well, my target market is women, and if my target market is women, then I can place TV ads on the Lifetime channel, because men don't watch that channel. You watch that channel? What's the Lifetime channel? Do you watch the Lifetime channel? Yeah. Do you watch the Lifetime channel? The Lifetime channel it's movies about how men are bad to women and the woman comes out as the hero. That's virtually every show I've ever seen on the Lifetime channel is something about she's in a bad spot. He's mean, evil, the devil. He's beating her. He's doing something to her, and she comes out as the hero. Right? It's the man bashing channel, I often say. Right?
How to kill your husband channel.
Yes.
That's a ID.
Yeah, the ID channel. Yes, that would be more the why to kill your husband channel.
Yeah, exactly. That's the one I used to watch and come home and I'd be mad at you for no reason. That was the one.
Yes, you're welcome. Just throw that out there. Now you know, right? Block that from the television there. So, but that's it. So I've got a time frame, right? But here's the thing: using television, they use things like Nielsen ratings to try to figure out how many people may possibly be watching during this time. How many people may possibly not be getting up and going to the bathroom, getting a snack, hitting pause, hitting fast forward, hitting whatever during the commercials, right? So they're trying to figure this stuff out. At best, it is a flawed process, right? At best, it's a flawed process. Why? Because I don't have any control over who's sitting in front of the TV at a specific time on a specific day during and going to sit there long enough to actually see what my commercial says, right? I don't have any control over that. Radio's the same thing. I mean, I can put my ad on a Christian station and know that I'm targeting Christians. Now, I can also know that the population of people that are female that tend to listen to that station are going to be higher than the population of male. But at any given point, I have no concept of how many people are actually listening to the radio during my ad. Right? If you're going to do something like that, you just about have to have a radio show, right, to be able to capture the sheer numbers of people, because otherwise it's completely hit or miss. It may be 5,000 people hear that ad. It may be one person. Right? No way of knowing. So what does that tell us?
There are other ways to get better control of being specific in front of people at the times you want, or the target market.
Absolutely. In marketing, specificity and control lead to better results. Okay? In marketing, specificity and control lead to better results. Meaning, I want to get my message in front of my audience where they spend the bulk of their time. Now, fortunately, with a lot of your online digital type marketing things, it's not like a television or a radio or a billboard or something like that. You're not paying for it just to be there regardless of how many people see it. You're actually paying by the number of people that see it. Right? So that means if I have that control and I can pay by the number of people that see things, then what now next becomes most important? My message, yes. Whether it is an offer or just a message, right? Because again, whether you have business goals or branding goals, whether it's awareness, relationship, community, new business, repeat business, cross sells, whatever your specific target need is going to determine what your message will look like, whether it's a specified offer or it's just an awareness campaign to let people that know you that you exist, right? Okay, so if that's the next most important thing, then what's important about it?
The quality.
Yeah.
Okay?
Because that goes back to the specifics though.
So in other words, your message has to appeal to your market, right? If your message does not appeal to your market will ignore your message. I know this sounds very 101, and it is, but these are the most important foundational concepts that you have to know in order to build and grow a business.
Well, they are, because just like when we were going through the process of designing an email sequence for the BIMS videos, I had pretty decent sounding email, I thought, but it wasn't addressing what they were looking for.
Mm-hmm.
So, when you have a message that's not suited, then you get a lot of deletes or not even open.
Okay. So, what's everybody's favorite radio station?
WIIFM.
WIIFM. What's in it for me? Do what?
Thanks, Adam.
Yes. Little selfishness going on right there. What's in it for me? Dwayne, you can get a 15 SEER unit, energy efficient. Okay.
Yeah, it's energy efficient, it's not,
What's more energy efficient?
do I know?
What's going to be more energy efficient?
You get a 16, you get 22.
Okay, so a 22 SEER unit is going to be more energy efficient than a 15 SEER unit? Okay. Now, half ton, ton, ton and a half,
Starts at 1.5 tons.
starts at ton and a half.
A lot of your upper steer stuff is only gonna be in whole tons.
Okay. So
Like
22 seer, 2 ton.
2 ton, 3 ton, 4 ton, 5 ton.
Okay. Twyla, what does that mean?
I know it has something to do with air conditioners because that's what he does. That's about it.
Do you know what that means?
Only at a very high level, it talks about the efficiency, the ER efficiency rating, and then how much air it handles. That's about it.
Do you know what that means?
Throw in British thermal units outside of that, I'm with him. It's not my gig. So we wouldn't be his target market.
Wrong. You are his target market.
For his market, he's gotta get the message to us.
Oh, the message.
I was answering a direct question.
Yeah.
That's not how I would advertise.
So here's the thing, but that's how it's commonly advertised. Look at it all day long. You can see advertisements and things like this, 22 seer, 2 ton unit, and it lists out this feature, this feature, this feature, this feature, this feature. Only X dollars, right? That's how we see most ads, isn't it?
Yeah.
What's the problem?
We don't know.
Doesn't tell you anything about it.
Yeah. It's no different if I said I got an Intel 5-core, 4.6 gigahertz.
Processor.
I know it's computer because it says Intel, that's about all I know.
You know what that means?
I do.
Hopefully you can fix my computer today.
Probably not. Do you know what that means? For the most part?
For the most part, yeah,
I know that's part of it, yeah.
for the most part. I have no clue.
Okay, if I said 5-core, 4-core.
Same megabytes of RAM, a little bit faster gigahertz, a little more storage capacity.
Which one's better?
I would say the one with the 5, but then you see 4.8 instead of 4.6, I don't know.
I'd go with 5-core.
Depends on what you're doing.
Doesn't depend on what you
Well,
want, you're doing it.
If you're doing a lot of video, if you're doing a lot of
That's the best way to
storage, you're doing photos, you're doing graphics, or you're just doing events.
Does it?
Slightly on the gigahertz, the core is with the processing speed, isn't it?
The gigahertz and the core is the processor. Those are both processor.
Yeah.
That's the problem with buying computers,
Yeah.
right? You go to Best Buy and you're looking at computers and you start seeing lists of crap like that. You go to Amazon and start looking at the computers. It's like,
What is it?
what the heck, man? Dude, I just need a computer. I need it to work. I need to run stuff on it.
But what are you running? What are you looking at? Are you running video, are you running users, are you just doing desktop work, so you gotta know what you're.
But you also got to know what this stuff means in relation to that. Right? So it's not just a matter of knowing what you need done. It's a matter of knowing what you need done and then having the ability to translate what you need done back to this information. Now, ideally, I would be able to go to a place like a Best Buy and talk to one of the salespeople and say, this is what I need it to run. And them give me the best option for my money. Right? Does it always work that way? Negative. Because I can say, I got a unit out there that's going to need to be replaced in the next year or two. That unit's going to need to be replaced. Realistically, all the ductwork and all that kind of stuff is fine. It probably needs to have a little bit of electrical check, so on and so forth. One guy's going to quote me $8,000, another guy's going to quote me $18,000. Why?
perception.
Huh? A lot of times businesses would look at our property and will say, they can pay more. Let's get them. It may not even be we charge them more for the same unit. Let's just show them a better unit, a bigger unit. Right? That's tough. Right? It's super tough. And it's stuff that we see all day, every day. Confusing information, lack of knowledge and understanding. We see variety of different, sometimes a very wide span of pricing and processes in how we're trying to get what we get.
Because the seller is not listening.
Hmm?
They're putting their own desires or goals ahead of the customer.
You think about it, something just as simple as, when's the last time you guys went to Walmart to the shampoo aisle? Talk about confusing. Yeah. Shay went the other day. She needed some conditioner. And it really hit me. You know, I'm standing there. I'm standing kind of at the end of the aisle, and I'm looking almost diagonally down that aisle. That is a big stinking aisle. There are so many choices. And by the way, it took me a minute or two to realize it's not just the aisle. It's the opposite aisle too. It's all shampoo, conditioner, and crap to put in your hair to get it clean or keep it clean.
You have men's, you have women's, you have children's, you have basic.
I have men's, women's, children's. I have basic. I have stuff for anybody. I got 1-in-1. I got 2-in-1. I got 3-in-1. I got stuff that you can wash your dog with. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's, you know, it's tear free. It's extra tears. You know, there's some of that kind of stuff. Organic, all natural, man made, tested on monkeys. I got all kinds of options and choices. I got flowery. I got manly. I got unscented. I got dandruff. I got greasy hair. I got not greasy hair. Super dry hair. You know what I'm saying? I mean, and the list goes on and on and on. And then in each of those, you got about 47 different smells. Which is terrible when it comes to someone like my wife that, you know, she's the person that can't walk by the little candle thing without opening and smelling all the candles. You know? So she has to open and smell all the shampoos and all that kind of stuff too. Now, the one thing she knows is that she wants the clear. She doesn't want the creamy. She wants the clear, right? Well, that cuts it in half.
So they put it in opaque bottles.
Yes. So you have to open it just to determine what it is. And then squeeze it a little. Try not to squeeze it in your eye just to see. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's one of those. And if you've ever tried to sniff one of those and be like, oh, dang. You know, it's terrible. What does this tell us about business?
They know that targeting can be beneficial.
Okay.
Choices may be beneficial.
They know that targeting can be beneficial. I will tell you, just from a shampoo and conditioner type perspective, it would be significantly easier if it were a little bit larger advertisement of specifically your hairstyle and what your need is, right?
There's a company that markets to that.
There is.
Yeah, where you,
And they charge a little bit more for their product.
it is specifically for your hair type and what you want
Right.
from shampoo.
The key there is what we're talking about. It's listening, right? It's listening. And so when it comes to social strategy, the vast majority of businesses fail to leverage effectively with social media. Okay? They fail to leverage effectively with social media as part of their marketing plan. I find it interesting. This morning alone, actually, I glanced, you got a new like this morning on your Facebook page, right? So I was like, hey, that's pretty cool. Cool. Most businesses fail to leverage effectively their social media as a strategy. Strategic efforts for the vast majority of business end with some sort of content or some sort of advertising.
If they go that far.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot that say, their attitude says to me, hey, we have a Facebook page, we're done here.
Yep.
No new content ever, no posts, very few likes, no engagement.
You got a billboard in the middle of the Sahara.
Well, that's just like the guy that did the restaurant.
Right.
Same thing with that, you got a Facebook page, they don't have a.
Okay. So today, 70%, 79% of internet users in the United States are on Facebook. 79%. 6 out of 10 Americans stay updated regularly on the news and what's happening through social media. 60%. Now we can get into the politics of that kind of stuff, which I'm not about to right now, about how idiotic it is to look at just one resource. 35% of people have reported looking at social media when looking for a job. 35. That's actually, of the 2 new hires that we put on, that's how I found one of the 2. That quick. Put out an ad. Facebook, actually. Put out an ad on Facebook. 2 days later, had 4 resumes. Called all 4. Scheduled 4 for appointments. 1 rescheduled. I said no thanks and ended up landing the 1. The other new hire was somebody that we knew and had known for years, right? So 35% use social media to look for a job. The same percentages are reflected globally. So when we talk about using social media as a marketing strategy for your business, it's not just something that you should be doing. It's something that you have to be doing. Okay? If you are not utilizing social media as a strategy in growing your business will never fully grow. Now, you can use it a little, you can use it a lot. Some companies do things like pay companies like our marketing company, they want social media posting, right? Somebody needs to post something on our Facebook page on a regular basis so that people don't forget about who we are, okay? Now that's a good thing, but that's very minimalistic in the thought process, right? When I look at it, I say there are 4 parts to effective social marketing. The first is social listening. That's what we're going to get a little more in depth in a minute. Social listening is a verb, right? Yes, sir.
When using social media, how do you market? How do you choose which social media platform?
Your market, where they spend time. So the question, the first thought process is you have to know who your market is in order to choose your platform. You have to know who your market is, and you need to know where they spend time. Now, we're talking Facebook just at the moment because of the percentage of people that use Facebook. So Facebook tends to be a good one for a lot of businesses. Okay, but there's lots of others. You got LinkedIn, you got Twitter, you got Snapchat, you got Instagram, you've got YouTube. YouTube is a social media, right? So you got all of these other types of places. So the question becomes is, where are your target market spending their time and why? YouTube, for example. Okay. So with an HVAC business, if I placed ads on YouTube, and let's just say ads for a moment. If I placed ads on YouTube, where would I want to place those ads?
With his business?
Uh-huh.
Geographically, where he's at.
Okay, so geographic location where you service people. That's step number one. You don't want your ads going all over the United States, all over the world, right? So you don't want people seeing that. So you want it to be within your geographic location, but where else?
Age specific, the demographic.
Okay, demographics. So if I can narrow it down, what do I want? If I can narrow it down, I want homeowners, right? Because HVAC, I'm less likely to do business with a renter, right? Okay, so I want homeowners. What else do I want?
Income.
Okay, I might want age,
Yeah.
right? Now, any homeowner is that has an HVAC unit, something could happen to it, right? Okay, but my concern would be if I get a 24-year-old homeowner, what on average is their capacity to pay if I need to replace a unit, right? So maybe I want to target people who are just a little bit more established, so that maybe the affordability might be a little easier. They need to pay for services, not the person who just got out of college, who just bought their first home, that's now overloaded in debt, doesn't have any extra money, nothing in savings, and they really can't even afford. Hope to God that they have a home warranty, right? That you do business with, right? Income, possibly. Okay. Although I wouldn't want to be too stringent on the income requirements. Okay. You don't want to be too stringent on the income requirements.
David, the reason I asked that question is like, we have a son that tells us that he's like on Facebook anymore. Because what he said was, Facebook now is for, what do you call it?
Old people.
That's what my 20-year-old daughter said about 3 years ago. Dad, Facebook's for old people. She posts on Facebook about 10 times more than I do now. She's got kids, and now all the updates and everything else. I can't post on Facebook, and if I tag her in it, there's literally a response probably 30 seconds down the road. Okay, a lot of young people will say Facebook's for old people, but that's okay. Who's your target market? The 17-year-old kid or the 17-year-old kid's parents?
Correct.
This is the old people. So he can get off Facebook. He'll get back on it later. That's the way Facebook rolls. You know what I'm saying?
I was just trying to make a point, because
Yeah.
there's so many social platforms out there. It's hard to know.
Some of them can cross-post. I mean, you can cross-post from Facebook to LinkedIn, from Facebook to Twitter. There are services where you can post from one to the other to the other. The challenge is you don't want to get overloaded with too many of them.
Right.
Pick a couple and dominate those, right? Pick a couple and dominate those. Don't try to be everywhere, to be everything to everybody, hoping that you're going to get something out of it. Pick a couple and dominate those. I mean, we have 3 that we use a lot. Okay, the 3 that we use a lot: Facebook, LinkedIn, and now coming YouTube. Right. So the marketing company, we've got 25,000 likes on Facebook. I got an email. We actually started the YouTube channel, effectively started the YouTube channel in October, I think. And YouTube sent me an email the other day that we now have over 10,000 followers, right? And so you think about that kind of stuff. It's what are you putting in? What's your message, right? But then it's also going to be that concept of where are the people at, right? So you're looking at, and then by the way, where are they at that I can get my message in front of them the easiest, right? And something simple as if your competitor, they fly their flag, they've got that stuff going on, this, that, and the other. They're your competitor. They put some videos on YouTube. Do you know it's possible? It's actually possible for me to place my ad on their video. Oh, yeah. That's a little sneaky. Yeah, it's a little sneaky, but it's something that people don't think about. Yep. So literally, they can post a commercial on YouTube, and I can play an ad right on top of their commercial. Right? Sneaky, sneaky. Okay. But it is what it is. Right? I could also look at certain types of videos, maybe that I would want to put my ad on. You get some of the most basic DIY HVAC videos. You know, the people say, what's wrong with this? And they go to YouTube to figure out, okay, well, oh yeah, so that's what that little canister thing is that sits on the outside of my unit. That's what it's called. Yeah, that's right. That could go out, right? But then it just so happens that that person that's watching that video that's in your local area sees an ad for you as, hey, we can fix that. Right? They're trying to figure it out. So it's possible to do those kinds of things. Facebook, same thing. To be able to hyper target and get in front of people. Facebook is really good for awareness and those kind of things. But that's really what listening is all about. It's monitoring and responding to customer service issues, reputation management issues. It's any kind of issues on the social web. Okay? Anything that pops up. Somebody's out there and they're posting negative reviews about a competitor, and you see that. What can you do?
Use that to your advantage. We will always call you before we arrive. We have a on-time arrival. I'm thinking in terms of HVAC, is the stuff that I see. The guys never called, they never followed up, they said they would do this, so you just compile all that and use that in your promotion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What issues are other people experiencing, and how can you implement that in your business, right? What are the problems that people see? Where are they dissatisfied with other businesses? You have to listen. You have to see those things. Where are they? And then maximize on that, right? That's listening. But it also is, it's a fact of the matter, not every single person is going to be happy with you. Every once in a while, you'll get a complaint, right? We had a complaint several years ago on Facebook, right? Well, he's like, it's basically calling me everything but the devil on that Facebook post. The funny thing is at the time I chose not to respond to it because we were actually in the midst of litigation with this individual. She's posting, she made the mistake of posting while we're in the midst of litigation because she got loads of services and decided she didn't want to pay for them. And so cyberbullying attempt to post all kinds of negative stuff, all kinds of different places, and even recruit other people into doing the same. It was one of those things. My mistake back then was not responding to that, right? Because other people see it, right? You have to listen.
Would it have hurt you in litigation if you had responded?
Not as long as I responded appropriately.
Yeah, okay. That's
It's about the appropriateness of the response. And so that's social listening. Now, over the next few weeks, we'll get into the other three methods as well: social influencing, social networking, and social selling. But understand, it's listening, influencing, networking, selling. It's a cycle. But you have to understand that there's also an order. It's a cycle, but there's also an order. Social listening is about hearing what's going on. Social influencing is all about establishing authority and credibility. Social networking is about finding other complementary people that can help you out. Social selling is about actually selling your products and services. That's the order. If you do it well, this actually becomes the easiest. The selling becomes the easiest. Okay? All four of those stages are key to achieving success in the social world. All right? But all of it hinges on this listening. Everything hinges on listening. If you don't listen, and I hear it all the time. Matter of fact, we've got a client, Whitley's got a client that she's aching to fire because the dude doesn't listen. He doesn't listen to us, doesn't listen to his market, keeps griping and griping and griping. I'm not getting the sales, I'm not getting the sales, I'm not getting the sales. Well, the fact of the matter is you're about 30% higher than all of your competition and you provide no extra value. But you refuse to change your pricing in order to do that. And you refuse to be active on any social channels or anything like that yourself, yet you expect business to magically appear. You're placing no ads. How do you hope to get business? Well, people used to just call me. And they quit. It means you got to get active. For a brand new business, 30% of your budget should be spent on marketing. 30% of your overall budget should be spent on marketing. For most established businesses, it should remain around 10%. Startups, newer businesses, younger businesses, or businesses that are restructuring. Anytime there's a major change in the business, the marketing has to increase. Okay? Awareness, the relationship, right? Generating the new sales, generating repeat sales from if it's an established business that's going through a restructuring, then they're going to have to get more word out to existing customers about doing more business with them. They need to get the word out to new potential customers, so it's got to increase, right? But in general, when we're looking at business overall, when we're looking at business and budgeting and those kind of things, what we want to look at is around 10% ideally is going to be where if we're an established business, is going to be around where our marketing budget should be. So if your business is doing $500,000 a year, then your marketing advertising budget should be around $50,000. And by utilizing that effectively, your revenue will continue to increase every year. Okay, it should be a cycle, but this is part of it. And by the way, the social strategy, you can spend more time and less money. Right? There's only two things in life you can spend: time and money. Right? If you got money, spend money. You don't have to spend the time. If you don't have any money, you don't have to spend the time. Right? The key here is getting your business in front of your prospects where they spend their time. So, what are we listening for in social listening? So, the first thing is we want to listen for public perception. Public perception. What's the public perception of your brand, and what's the public perception of your industry? Second thing we want to listen for is important topics. Important topics. Meaning, what do you need to be talking about? This is where people mess up big time. I hear people all the time. Well, I actually had we had an appointment with a law firm not long ago, and the law firm had actually hired a marketing manager as a staff member, and the girl had some background experience in digital marketing and those kind of things, and she thought she knew everything, didn't she?
Yes.
It was very disturbing. Because she kept talking about, well, I go to this industry event, and this industry event, and this industry event. My answer is I don't care. Guess what? People are people. We are emotionally driven creatures that tend to be creatures of habit. We buy things for emotional reasons. We keep things for logical reasons. It doesn't matter what changes in the market, the economy. It doesn't matter what happens. People are always people. She tried arguing with me. She said, well, because I mentioned something about she needed to have a blog. They really need to have a blog out there. And she said, well, you know, the industry experts are saying that the blog really does nothing for your SEO process. That's the most idiotic thing I've ever heard.
Wonder what industry experts you listen to.
I have no idea. It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. So what you're saying is you listen to some industry expert that said that you providing valuable information to your potential clients is of no value to your business online. I don't know what kind of stupid you are, but let's move on, right? That's when I shut it down, wasn't it? Can't deal with that kind of stupid. So, you know, what are the important topics, right? In fact, going back to our previous example, the 15 SEER, 13 SEER, 20 SEER, 18 SEER, 16 SEER, what does that even mean? The vast majority of the population has no concept of what that means. So what does that tell you? Educate. If people are talking about what's what does this even mean, then what opportunity does it give you to educate? Now you're building authority. You're listening and influencing at the same time. And it blows my mind at how often people say, well, yeah, but I don't have time to sit down and write an article for a blog for my website and post that thing on social media. But you have time to run around like a chicken with its head cut off, hoping that everything happens, hoping that things go well, hope is not a strategy. It's not. Set a strategy and stick to it. How are you going to educate? How are you going to educate your potential customers? The question is what do you need to educate them on? That's what listening is all about. Right? Third is keep a pulse on the industry. What's going on? What's happening? What's new? What's coming up? When you're in the industry, you tend to know things before a lot of other people do. For example, I had no idea there was such a thing as a 22 SEER. I didn't know it went that high. Used to not be that. I can remember when 15 SEER, you got something that's 15 SEER, dude, you're doing good. Oh, snap. You're going to save some money on your power bill.
You can actually get higher than that with everybody technology. Mini splits.
Huh? What's funny is when I built all this out and we put the mini splits in this building, you realize those things run constantly. We never turn them off. And it had virtually no effect on our power bill overall. Virtually no effect. Kind of cool, right? But people don't know this stuff. So what's coming out? What's new? What's good? What can you do? What can you teach them about? And by the way, when you keep a pulse on the industry and what's going on, and you can educate people, you can be the first to educate people, guess what? You become even more of an influencer, even more of an authority. You're building your credibility even more, right?
I keep thinking in terms of HVAC and current topics. Obviously, the man-made climate change is huge and our energy consumption, all this kind of stuff. So whether you buy into that theory or not, everybody wants to save energy. I mean, whether you agree or disagree, most of us don't want to continue to pollute the environment and use more energy than we have to. And hey, if we save money at the same time, I'm in.
Some of us are that. Let me get more efficient so I save the environment. Others of us have a little bit more of the greed factor of let me get more efficient so I'm not spending so much money, right? Okay, so it's a matter of writing things for both methodologies, right? Or both thought processes. How can you do both at the same time, right? Save the environment and your pocket. But you got to listen, though. That's the key. How much time do you spend on social media and those kind of things just searching out? This is things like searching. Did you know that Facebook is one of the largest search engines that exist, right? It's number 3. Okay. Google number 1, YouTube number 2, Facebook number 3. LinkedIn hovers around number 5. Okay. Regularly. You can go up to the top of the little bar. You don't have to just search for people. You can search for topics, right? Tap it in. Find out what's going on. Find all kinds of stuff. What are people talking about? And then look, by the way. When you type it in and it shows you a list of posts and things in that particular topic, it can show you what's getting the most activity. What are people talking about the most of this? And then you can read some of those comments. Sometimes Shay loves certain types of posts, like the funny ones or the stupid ones or stuff like that, because she just loves to read the comments. Comments are often funnier than the posts themselves. Same thought process, by the way, in your industry. The comments often can be more insightful than the post itself.
What did you say number 2 was YouTube?
YouTube.
Google on YouTube, right?
Google on
Yeah,
YouTube.
didn't say number 2 is YouTube.
Yes. They're the dominator. Yep. So, got to keep a pulse on the industry. Customer research. You find out what people are buying. Competitive research. What's your competition doing? There are even tools out there where you can literally follow your competition, see what they're posting, and actually see what the engagement levels of those things are to be able to determine something similar that you could do and how you could improve on that, right? To be able to get more activity. And it's really, you don't even have to buy tools for those kind of things. You know who your competition in your market is. Just make it a habit of going to their page. What's getting activity? What's not getting activity? Read the comments. What are people saying on the stuff that's getting activity? What are people saying about this stuff? You may find that between the customer research and the research on the competitors, you're finding tons of ideas of good things to talk about that maybe your competitors aren't, because the people that are commenting on their stuff are. Right? So public perception, you're looking for mentions of your company name, your products, or any other identifying information about your brand. Right? Important topics is going to be anything that's relevant to your industry. You got to stay on top of that pulse. What are people talking about? What are their hot buttons? What's being said about the competitors? Right? Good and bad. What are they doing well? What are they doing poorly? What about the influencers? You know, he said your job is to become an influencer. That means that you also need to look at other influencers. Who are the industry leaders? Who are the industry leaders in your local market? Who are the industry leaders across the United States? What are they doing? What are they talking about? You also need to keep an eye out for any mentions of the public-facing people of your company. Public-facing people. So if somebody's out there bashing Mark online, right, it's something good to know about. Because guess what? That can directly translate right back. All right. So listening is half of the equation. The second half of the equation is the feedback loop, right? Feedback loop we've talked about once before, talk about again. The feedback loop is the strategy where you have someone that is in charge, right? Someone overall is in charge of the listening. We'll call them the listener. And the listener becomes the delegator. So information gets sent out to the appropriate parties. Okay. It's a mistake that a lot of people make, right? So a mistake meaning that if Dondi's in charge, for example, if Dondi's in charge of the social media and looking at it and listening and figuring out and all that kind of stuff, when she sees something on social media, the mistake is making sure that she's the one that handles it, responds to it, deals with it, whatever. That's a complete mistake. She may not be the most appropriate person to deal with or handle or answer. Right? Maybe it's Dwayne. Right? Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that Dondi's not going to be the one that writes it or types it or whatever. But it may be one of those things. Yeah, it may be one of those things where, you know, in that scenario, somebody is talking about this, and you can say, hey, Dwayne, this is what they're saying. What would your recommendations be? Right? And he says, well, this and this and this and this and this. And so you can translate it into easy to understand bit of information and put it right back out there. So even though you're in charge, you're still delegating the information to someone else to get for different levels of expertise, right? Everybody has their area of expertise. And so that's one of the things that oftentimes, especially for most businesses, many businesses don't understand. Just because I'm the business owner doesn't mean I do everything. Okay? It doesn't mean that I should even be in charge of everything. Okay? What it does mean is it does mean that somebody that I put in charge of things, they may not know everything, and sometimes they have to come to me and ask a question. Right? Sometimes you need to call me and say, hey, what about this? Right? It doesn't make you not the owner. It just means that you need to defer to someone with more expertise, right, in that specific area. Kind of like putting in a mini split unit. Kevin, did you tighten everything down? Sure did. Then why is it not cooling? You let all the Freon out. Dude, now we got to call Dwayne. Dang it. Yes. Yeah. No, you forgot to tighten that one down. Now I must kick you. Right? Call the expert in. I'm not even going to try that. So, That's really what that feedback loop boils down to as well, though. It's when you see something that needs to be dealt with, are you deferring it to the expert in that particular area? Right? And then they can loop it right back around to whoever's in charge of that, so they can get that information disseminated appropriately. Right? 3 rules. 3 rules. 1, when you see something, respond quickly. Social media moves fast. If it's something that's negative, and negative things do happen, if it's something that's negative, triage it quickly. It needs to be handled within 12 hours. Okay? You triage it within 12 hours. You can resolve it within 24. That's your ideal situation. Okay? Stop the bleeding within 12. Get it resolved within 24. Rule number 2 is you have to empathize with people. You may be looking at a competitor. You may be looking at people's complaints about that competitor. You need to be able to put yourself in their shoes. Same thing though. Somebody may have a complaint about you. Whether you like it or not, to them it's valid. Okay? You need to empathize. Your feelings may not be my feelings, but it doesn't invalidate your feelings. Okay? And the third thing is anytime that there is anything that might be negative, move it to private. Get it off social, get it off the web, get it off of anything that where everybody's looking at that, and move that conversation to a private channel. It's as simple as, I completely understand how that could be frustrating. I'm so sorry for that. Here's our phone number. Give us a call. If we don't hear from you in the next day or so, we'll give you a call. Right? It shows empathy. It shows a desire to get it handled, to get people taken care of. So other people who are seeing that kind of a response can respect that. The average consumer is not stupid. They know that you can't make everybody happy all the time. What they don't want to see is a battle of wits and words on social media. Okay? Because you lose respect points when you start doing that. Right? So you want to maintain respect and get it offline. Make sense? So using this strategy, this is what will help you. Now that you know where your market is, where they spend time, and you're listening to what's going on during all of this, now you begin to know how to respond to all of this and grow your business through it. Now, next time we'll talk about social influence and how you're going to build that authority, that credibility up, and how you're going to use that moving forward to help you generate sales and increase your customer base.